63. I'm very sorry to hear of your friend Flaccus's death. Still, I would not have you grieve unduly over it. I can scarcely venture to demand that you should not grieve at all, and yet I am convinced that it is better that way. But who will ever be granted that strength of character unless he be a man already lifted far out of fortune's reach? Even he will feel a twinge of pain when a thing like this happens, but only a twinge. As for us, we can be pardoned for having given way to tears so long as they have not run down in excessive quantities, and we have checked them for ourselves. When one has lost a friend, one's eyes should be neither dry nor streaming. Tears, yes, there should be, but not lamentation. Can you find the rule I am laying down a harsh one when the greatest of Greek poets has restricted to a single day, no more, a person's right to cry? In the passage where he tells us that even Niobe remembered to eat. Would you like to know what lies behind extravagant weeping and wailing? In our tears, we are trying to find means of proving that we feel the loss. We are not being governed by our grief, but parading it. No one ever goes into mourning for the benefit merely of himself. Oh, the miserable folly of it all, that there should be an element of ostentation in grief. Come now, you will be asking, are you saying that I should forget a person who has been a friend? Well, you are not proposing to keep him very long in your memory if his memory is to last just as long as your grief. At any moment, something or other will happen that will turn that long face of yours into a smiling one. I do not see very much time going before the sense of loss is mitigated and even the keenest sorrowings settle down. Your face will cease to be its present picture of sadness as soon as you take your eyes off yourself. At the moment, you are keeping a watch on your grief, but even as you do, it is fading away, and the keener it is, the quicker it is in stopping. Let us see to it that the recollection of those we have lost becomes a pleasure to us. Nobody really cares to cast his mind back to something which he is never going to think of without pain. Inevitable as it is that the names of persons who were dear to us are now lost should cause us a gnawing sort of pain when we think of them, that pain is not without a pleasure of its own. As my teacher Attalus used to say, in the pleasure we find in the memory of departed friends, there is a resemblance to the way in which certain bitter fruits are agreeable, or the very acidity of an exceedingly old wine has its attraction. But after a certain interval, all that pained us is obliterated, and the enjoyment comes to us unalloyed. If we are to believe him, thinking of friends who are alive and well is like feasting on cakes and honey. Recalling those who are gone is pleasant, but not without a touch of sourness. Who would deny, though, that even acid things like this, with a harshness in their taste, do stimulate the palate? Personally, I do not agree with him there. Thinking of departed friends is to me something sweet and mellow, for when I had them with me, it was with the feeling that I was going to lose them, and now that I have lost them, I keep the feeling that I have them with me still. So, my dear Lucilius, behave in keeping with your usual fair mindedness and stop misinterpreting the kindness of fortune. She has given as well as taken away. Let us therefore go all out to make the most of friends, since no one can tell how long we shall have the opportunity. Let us just think how often we leave them behind when we are setting out on some long journey or other, or how often we fail to see them when we are staying in the same area, and we shall realize that we have lost all too much time while they are still alive. Can you stand people who treat their friends with complete neglect and then mourn them to distraction, never caring about anyone unless they have lost him? And the reason they lament them so extravagantly then is that they are afraid people may wonder whether they did care. They are looking for belated means of demonstrating their devotion. If we have other friends, we are hardly kind or appreciative of them if they count for so very little when it comes to consoling us for the one we have buried. Hold on. Sorry, it's a long chapter. If we have no other friends, we have done ourselves a greater injury than fortune has done us. She has deprived us of a single friend, but we have deprived ourselves of every friend we have failed to make. A person, moreover, who has not been able to care about more than one friend cannot have cared even about that one too much. Supposing someone lost his one and only shirt in a robbery, would you not think him an utter idiot if he chose to bewail his loss rather than look about him for some means of keeping out the cold and find something to put over his shoulders? You have buried someone you loved. Now look for someone to love. It is better to make good the loss of a friend than to cry over him. What I am about to go on to say is this. I know a commonplace. I know a commonplace, but I am not going to omit it merely because everyone has said it. Even a person who has not deliberately put an end to his grief finds an end to it in the passing of time. And merely growing weary of sorrowing is quite shameful as a means of curing sorrow in the case of an enlightened man. I should prefer to see you abandoning grief than it abandoning you. Much as you may wish to, you will not be able to keep it up for very long, so give it up as early as possible. For women, our forefathers fixed the period of mourning at a year with the intention, not that women should continue mourning as long as that, but that they should not go on any longer. For men, no period is prescribed at all because none would be decent. Yet out of all the pathetic females you know who were only dragged away from the graveside or even torn from the body itself with the greatest difficulty, can you show me one whose tears lasted for a whole month? Nothing makes itself unpopular quite so quickly as a person's grief. When it is fresh, it attracts people to its side, finds someone to offer it consolation, but if it is perpetuated, it becomes an object of ridicule. Deservedly, too, for it is either feigned or foolish. And all this comes to you from me, the very man who wept for Aeneas Serenus, the dearest of friends to me, so unrestrainedly that I must needs be included, though this is the last thing I should want. Among examples of men who have been defeated by grief, nevertheless, I condemn today the way I behaved then. I realize now that my sorrowing in the way I did was mainly due to the fact that I had never considered the possibility of his dying before me. That he was younger than I was, a good deal younger too, was all that ever occurred to me, as if fate paid any regard to seniority. So let us bear it constantly in our mind that those we are fond of are just as liable to death as we are ourselves. What I should have said before was, my friend Serenus is younger than I am, but what difference does that make? He should die latter than me, but it is quite possible he will die before me. It was just because I did not do so that fortune caught me unprepared with that sudden blow. Now I bear it in mind not only that all things are liable to death, but that the liability is governed by no set rules. Whatever can happen at any time can happen today. Let us reflect then, my dearest Lucilius, that we ourselves shall not be long in reaching the place we mourn his having reached. Perhaps, too, if only there is truth in the story told by sages, and some welcoming abode awaits us, he whom we suppose to be dead and gone has merely been sent on ahead. All right.